An unusual cargo. The Terran cargo ship Odyssey drifted through the starlit expanse of the Orion Arm, its battered hull adorned with the scars of countless journeys. To the untrained eye, the Odyssey appeared to be just another unremarkable freighter, plodding along the well-worn trade routes between the scattered outposts of humanity. But to those who called her home, the ship was a testament to Terran ingenuity and resilience. Captain Jane Hawkins stood on the observation deck, her piercing blue eyes surveying the organized chaos of the cargo hold below. The hold was alive with activity as the crew loaded a series of nondescript crates, each one bearing the innocuous label of agricultural supplies. Jane allowed herself a small smile, knowing that the contents of those crates were far more interesting than mere farming tools. "Kai, tell me those crates are secure," Jane called out to her chief engineer. "We don't want any surprises during transit." Kai Nakamura, a wiry man with a perpetual grin and a knack for unconventional problem-solving, popped his head out from behind a stack of containers. "Don't worry, Cap. These babies aren't going anywhere. And even if they did, well, let's just say our guests would be in for a real treat." Jane shook her head, amused by Kay's cryptic remarks. She had learned long ago not to question the engineer's methods. As long as the ship kept flying and the crew kept breathing, Kai could modify the Odyssey however he saw fit. As the final crate was loaded and secured, Jane made her way down to the hold, weaving through the labyrinth of cargo with practiced ease. She paused before a particularly large container, its surface adorned with a myriad of warning labels and hazard symbols. "Agricultural supplies, indeed," she muttered, running her hand along the cool metal surface. "Let's hope we don't have to open this one." The ship's intercom crackled to life, the voice of Luca Esposito, their pilot, filling the hold with a sense of urgency. "Captain, we've got company. Long-range scans just picked up a Zorgon raider, and it's heading our way fast." Jane's smile vanished, replaced by a steely determination. The Zorgons, a race of reptilian pirates known for their ruthless tactics and disdain for other species, had been a thorn in the side of Terran shipping for decades. But then again, the Odyssey was no ordinary Terran ship. "All right, people, you know the drill," Jane announced, her voice carrying through the hold. "Secure your stations and prepare for potential boarders. Kai, make sure our agricultural supplies are ready for deployment. Luca, plot a course that keeps us out of that raider's reach for as long as possible. Let's show these Zorgons why it's a bad idea to mess with a Deathworlder ship." As the crew scrambled to their stations, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The Odyssey might have appeared unassuming, but beneath its weathered exterior lay a ship and crew forged in the crucible of Terran perseverance. The Zorgons, like so many before them, were about to learn the true cost of underestimating humanity's resolve. In the depths of space, the Odyssey turned to face its approaching adversary, its hidden strengths coiled and ready to strike. The dance of underestimation and revelation was about to begin, a cosmic waltz where the price of arrogance would be paid in full. And so, the stage was set for an encounter that would etch itself into the annals of Terran legend, a tale of ingenuity, courage, and the indomitable spirit of a species that had clawed its way from the unforgiving surface of a death world to the very stars themselves. The Zorgons, in their hubris, had dared to challenge the children of Earth. Now they would learn the true meaning of human resilience. A pirate's folly. The Zorgon raider loomed on the view screen, its angular hull adorned with the jagged emblems of its clan. Captain Krelok, a battle-scared veteran of countless raids, leaned forward in his command chair, his reptilian eyes narrowing as he appraised the Terran vessel before him. "Look at that pathetic ship," Krelok hissed, his forked tongue darting out in anticipation. Scan them. I want to know what treasures they're hiding. The raiders' sensors probed the Odyssey, revealing minimal weapons and shielding. Krelok's second-in-command, a wiry Zorgan named Zaxos, turned to his captain with a grin. Their defenses are laughable, Captain. This should be an easy take. Krelok nodded, his scales rattling with satisfaction. Open a channel. Let's give these Terrans a chance to surrender before we board them. On the Odyssey's bridge, Jane Hawkins stood defiantly as Krelok's image flickered to life on the communications screen. The Zorgan captain's face was a mask of arrogance and disdain. "Attention, Terran vessel," Krelok began, his voice dripping with condescension. "This is Captain Krelok of the Zorgan raider Venom's Fang. You are outmatched and outgunned. Surrender now, and we may spare your lives. Resist, and we will take great pleasure in making an example of you." Jin met Krelok's gaze, her expression unwavering. "Captain Krelok, this is Captain Jane Hawkins of the Odyssey. With all due respect, I think you've underestimated us. We will not surrender, and we will not go down without a fight." Krelok laughed, a rasping sound that grated on the ears. "You Terrans, and your bravado. Very well, Captain Hawkins. We will see how long your courage lasts when my warriors are tearing through your ship. Prepare to be boarded." As the communication cut off, Jin turned to her crew, her eyes alight with determination. "All right, everyone, this is it. Kai, are your surprises ready?" Kai grinned, his fingers dancing across his console. "Oh, they're ready, Cap. Those Zorgans won't know what hit them." "Good. Luca, keep us moving. Don't let them get a clear shot at our engines. Everyone else, to your stations. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting to show these pirates what happens when they underestimate Terran ingenuity." The crew responded with a resounding cheer, their resolve bolstered by their captain's words. They knew the odds were against them, but they also knew that they had a few tricks up their sleeves. As the Zorgan raider closed in, its boarding tubes extending like the grasping tentacles of some cosmic beast, Kai's fingers hovered over a series of innocuous-looking buttons. "Come on, you scaly bastards," he muttered, his eyes glinting with anticipation. "Let's see how you like a taste of Terran hospitality." The Odyssey shuddered as the Zorgans breached the airlock, their battle cries echoing through the corridors. But unbeknownst to the raiders, they were walking into a ship that had been forged in the crucible of human determination, a vessel that carried the spirit of a species that had learned to turn adversity into advantage. And so, as the Zorgans charged forward, their weapons at the ready, they were met not with the terrified faces of helpless prey, but with the steely resolve of a crew that had been waiting for this moment. The battle for the Odyssey had begun, and the Zorgans were about to discover that sometimes the greatest threats come from the most unassuming of packages: surprise and chaos. The Zorgan boarding party stormed through the Odyssey's corridors, their weapons primed and their eyes gleaming with anticipation. They had expected to find a crew cowering in fear, ready to surrender their cargo and their lives. Instead, they found themselves in a labyrinth of improvised traps and unconventional defenses. As the first group of raiders rounded a corner, they were met with a blinding flash of light and a deafening bang. Disoriented and confused, they stumbled into a tangle of thin, nearly invisible wires strung across the hallway at ankle height. The Zorgans tripped and fell, their weapons clattering to the floor as they struggled to regain their footing. From the shadows, Jin and her crew emerged, wielding an assortment of makeshift weapons. Kai had transformed the ship's mundane supplies into an arsenal of ingenuity, compressed air canisters refitted as projectile launchers, industrial solvents repurposed as noxious sprays, and magnetic clamps converted into improvised shields. The Zorgans, accustomed to the predictable tactics of their prey, found themselves at a loss when faced with the Terrans' unorthodox methods. They fired their weapons wildly, their shots ricocheting off the Odyssey's walls and striking their own comrades in the chaos. On the bridge, Luca pushed the ship's engines to their limits, sending the Odyssey into a series of erratic maneuvers. The sudden shifts in gravity threw the Zorgans off balance, their clawed feet scrabbling for purchase on the slick metal floors. In the cargo hold, Jin and her crew fought with a ferocity born of desperation and determination. They used every advantage the ship's close quarters afforded them, luring the Zorgans into tight spaces where their superior numbers counted for little. Kai, his face split in a manic grin, unleashed one improvised weapon after another. A barrage of flash grenades, cobbled together from spare parts and industrial chemicals, left the Zorgans reeling. A cloud of choking smoke, generated by overloading the ship's air filters, sent them stumbling blindly through the haze. Yet even as the Terrans fought with everything they had, the Zorgans' sheer numbers began to take their toll. One by one, the crew fell back, their makeshift defenses crumbling under the relentless onslaught. Jin, her face streaked with sweat and grime, rallied her crew for one final stand. "We hold the line here," she shouted over the din of battle. "We show these pirates what it means to fight like Terrans." The crew responded with a ragged cheer, their spirits bolstered by their captain's indomitable will. They dug in, turning the cargo hold into a fortress of crates and barricades. As the Zorgans closed in, their snarls of triumph turning to howls of frustration, Jin and her crew prepared for the final clash. They knew they were outmatched and outgunned, but they also knew that sometimes victory lay not in strength of arms, but in strength of spirit. And so, amidst the chaos and the smoke, the Terrans stood their ground, ready to make the Zorgans pay for every inch of the Odyssey they dared to claim. The true test of human resilience had begun, and the crew of the Odyssey would not be found wanting. In the heart of the battle, where the fate of the ship hung in the balance, the Terrans fought on, their courage a beacon of defiance against the darkness of the void. They would not go quietly into the night. They would rage against the dying of the light, and in doing so, they would etch their names into the annals of Terran legend, turning the tables. As the battle raged on, the Terrans' resourcefulness and determination began to turn the tide against the Zorgan raiders. The pirates, accustomed to quick and easy victories, found themselves mired in a brutal fight for every inch of the Odyssey's corridors. Kai, his face streaked with grease and sweat, worked feverishly to keep the ship's defenses operational. With each new challenge, he improvised, adapting the Odyssey's systems to counter the Zorgans' tactics. When the raiders attempted to hack into the ship's computers, Kai unleashed a swarm of diagnostic drones, reprogrammed to seek out and disable the Zorgans' electronic devices. In the cargo hold, Jane led a daring counterattack, using the very crates the Zorgans had come to plunder as makeshift barricades and weapons. She rallied her crew, inspiring them with her unwavering courage and quick thinking. Under her leadership, the Terrans began to push the raiders back, forcing them to give ground one hard-fought step at a time. Captain Krelok, watching the battle unfold from the bridge of the Venom's Fang, growled in frustration as his warriors were beaten back by the Terran crew. He had underestimated these Deathworlders, dismissing their unassuming ship as an easy target. Now he saw the true strength that lay beneath the Odyssey's battered exterior, a strength born of the indomitable human spirit. As the Zorgans retreated, their numbers thinned and their resolve shaken, Jane pressed the advantage. She led a small team in a daring raid on the Venom's Fang itself, using the raider's own boarding tubes against them. With Kai's ingenious gadgets and Luca's piloting skills, they managed to sabotage the Zorgon ship's engines and weapons, leaving it crippled and vulnerable. Krelok, his eyes wide with disbelief, could only watch as the Terrans turned his own tactics against him. He had thought them weak, a prey species to be hunted and plundered at will. Now he saw them for what they truly were, a force to be reckoned with, a species whose strength lay not in their technology or their weaponry, but in their unbreakable spirit and their boundless ingenuity. As the last of the Zorgon raiders were driven from the Odyssey, their weapons abandoned and their pride shattered, Jin and her crew stood tall amidst the wreckage of their ship. They had taken a beating, but they had not broken. They had faced the worst the galaxy had to offer, and they had emerged victorious. Kai, his grin never wavering, clapped a hand on Jane's shoulder. Not bad for a bunch of Deathworlders, eh, Cap? Jane smiled, her eyes alight with the fire of triumph. Not bad at all, Kai. Not bad at all. As the Odyssey limped away from the battlefield, its hull scarred, but its spirit unbroken, the crew knew that they had accomplished something extraordinary. They had not just survived an encounter with the Zorgons, they had sent a message to the entire galaxy. A message that the Terrans, for all their unassuming appearance, were not to be underestimated. A message that the children of Earth would never back down, never surrender, and never give up, no matter the odds. And so, as the stars stretched out before them, the crew of the Odyssey set their course for home, their hearts filled with the knowledge that they had struck a blow for all of humanity. They had shown the galaxy what it meant to be Terran, and in doing so, they had carved their names into the annals of history. The Zorgons, their once mighty raider limping away in defeat, had learned a valuable lesson, a lesson that would echo across the stars, a warning to all who dared to challenge the indomitable spirit of Earth. The Terrans, the Deathworlders, the unassuming heroes of the Orion Arm, had proven once again that they were a force to be reckoned with, a species whose strength knew no bounds. A lesson learned. As the Venom's fang limped away from the Odyssey, its hull battered and its pride shattered, Captain Krelok sat in his command chair, his eyes fixed on the view screen. He watched as the Terran ship, the vessel he had so woefully underestimated, disappeared into the vast expanse of space. Krelok's second-in-command, Zaxos, approached him cautiously, his scales still bearing the marks of the recent battle. "Captain," he began, his voice tinged with uncertainty, "what do we do now?" Krelok was silent for a long moment, his claws tapping against the armrest of his chair. Finally he spoke, his voice low and filled with a newfound respect. "We learn, Zaxos. We learn from our mistake, and we make sure that we never underestimate the Terrans again." On the Odyssey, the crew gathered in the cargo hold, their faces weary but triumphant. Jane stood before them, her eyes shining with pride as she surveyed the men and women who had fought so bravely beside her. "Today," she began, her voice ringing out strong and clear, "we showed the galaxy what it means to be Terran. We showed them that we will never back down, never give in, and never stop fighting for what we believe in." The crew cheered, their voices rising in a roar of triumph and defiance. Kai, his face still streaked with grease, grinned from ear to ear. "Those Zorgons won't be forgetting us anytime soon, that's for sure." Luca, his hands still gripping the ship's controls, chimed in over the intercom. "Downright they won't. We gave them a lesson they won't soon forget." As the Odyssey continued on its journey, its reputation grew, spreading like wildfire through the space lanes. The tale of the unassuming cargo ship that had bested a Zorgon raider became a legend, a story told in spaceports and on starships across the galaxy. The Terrans, once dismissed as a weak and primitive species, were now regarded with a new level of respect and admiration. The Deathworlders, it seemed, were not to be trifled with, for their strength lay not in their weapons or their technology, but in their unbreakable spirit and their boundless ingenuity. And so, as the Odyssey journeyed on, its crew knew that they had not just won a battle, but had struck a blow for all of humanity. They had shown the galaxy the true face of the Terran spirit, a spirit of courage, determination, and unwavering resilience. In the years that followed, the legend of the Odyssey only grew, inspiring countless other Terrans to take to the stars, to explore the vast reaches of space, and to prove to the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. And always, at the heart of that legend, was the story of a crew that had dared to stand against the odds, to fight for what they believed in, and to show the galaxy the true strength of the human spirit. Theirs was a tale that would be told for generations to come, a tale of courage, of ingenuity, and of the unbreakable bonds that held the children of Earth together. For in the end, it was not the Odyssey's weapons or its shields that had won the day, but the hearts and minds of its crew, the indomitable spirit of a species that had risen from the ashes of a death world to claim its place among the stars. And as the Odyssey sailed on, its crew knew that they carried with them the hopes and dreams of all Terrans, the hope for a future where the children of Earth would stand tall and proud among the stars, the masters of their own destiny and the shapers of the galaxy's fate.